Now, South Sudan is facing one of the worst food security crises globally. This is according to the Intergovernmental Authority on Development. A report by its Food Security and Nutrition Working Group says that an estimated 7.2 million people, which is 60% of the country's population, are expected to face acute food shortages between now and July. The report released on Monday also says conflict and widespread flooding are the key drivers of food scarcity in the country. IGAD is also concerned that despite the dire situation on the ground, the humanitarian response remains largely underfunded. South Sudan is still emerging from the ruins of a civil war, with President Salva Kiir dissolving parliament on Sunday to pave the way for the appointment of lawmakers from formerly warring parties in the country. Now, Meshack Malo is the FAO representative for South Sudan. He joins us live for more on this story. Moses, IGAD projects that some counties face a famine-likely situation. Is this the case? And what are the drivers of food insecurity in South Sudan?
Sure, and thank you so much for having me in this show. For sure, South Sudan is facing a famine-likely situation due to a number of factors. First is the protracted crisis that has been in this country, and this has prevented the populations and the people from taking advantage of particularly the main rainy season and the dry season that response could provide food. As all of us know, South Sudan is a country that is blessed with good water, good soils, but the protracted crisis has prevented its citizens from taking advantage of the available natural resources. Secondly, there's been conflict around the country, and this has affected some areas that are even the breadbasket of the country, like the areas of central Equatoria. This has conspired during the conflict time with the times for the main planting season, and agriculture is a very time-sensitive event. If you miss the May planting season, the next you could not be in a position to plant. Also, as we are also aware, flooding affected a good portion of the country. And so a number of factors were able to conspire negatively and affected the production in the country.
So there is concern that the humanitarian response remains largely underfunded. What are some of the challenges your organization is facing in dealing with the situation?
Yes, it's been a tough year for the humanitarian community because also COVID came in. A number of countries that have been supporting South Sudan, particularly the Western countries, were equally affected by, or even more affected by COVID-19. This has seen a decline in funding in virtually all agencies. For instance, the Food and Agriculture Organization, we support about 5.2 million farmers. This year, with the funding that we've been able to receive, it's barely enough to support half of that. So that affects a lot of factors. For instance, because of the poor agricultural production here, we import seeds virtually from about 5 countries: Italy, South Sudan, Uganda, Kenya. These are quite costly events, transportation, and so the funds that are needed in order to bring in supplies and even food is not there. So this is quite important to ensure that lives are able to be saved.
But this is a situation South Sudan has faced before. So what long-term measures need to be put in place to deal with the problem of food insecurity in the country?
As I've said in the opening, fortunately, South Sudan is a country that the natural resource base, and particularly land, water, and soil, is in plenty. So one of the most important things that needs to be done is that the country needs to produce its own food. Last year, due to the peace process, the country was able to produce about 800,000 metric tons of food, but they need 1.4 million. So peace is the most fundamental thing that this country needs. And secondly, is massive investment to ensure that the country is able to produce its own food and exit from food aid.
All right, Meshack, thank you very much for that. Meshack Malo joining us via Zoom from Juba.